What context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? That's my question to you. Tell me what the context around the strap-on dildo or the rape of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
No,
wait,
we're talking about public school.
One moment.
All right.
So now you've asked me questions.
Sure.
I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
Well, who is the main character? What's the name of the main character in All Boys Are Blue?
What a question.
You're asking me right now.
You just gave me very
17,000
specific information about this book, so you're
Many people on the left feel like it is okay to have adult-oriented books in the school libraries as long as it's there to teach kids about, finding themselves in a sexual manner or tolerance. And Joy Reid is one of them, and she defends it. But Patrick Bet David is not having it. Let's see what he has to say.
So MSNBC, Joy Reid, and Moms of Liberty go at it. And you just have to see this exchange because MSNBC Joy Reid criticized Tiffany Justice, co-founder of Moms of Liberty, over banning the memoir, All Boys Aren't Blue, from schools questioning for qualifications. What is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book, isn't appropriate for students to read? Justice responds by stating, I don't have to be an expert to know that dildos are not appropriate for public schools, okay? I can read the rest of it for you, but I'll let you see the clip. Yeah. Rob, if you have the clip, I'm sure Joy Reid's going to do a much better job than me reading this. Watch this clip here. And parents, I really want to know, how are you reacting to this exchange? Rob, is this the full clip? Go ahead and play the clip. What
I'm asking is, what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for students to read? What is your expertise?
What a tragic story of a young man who's anally raped by his adult family member. So you have incest, rape, pedophilia. Joy, you said you'd let me answer, so
sure.
I'm going to answer
Please
for you. In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? That's my question to you. Tell me what the context around the strap-on dildo or the rape of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
We're talking about public school.
One moment.
All right.
So now you've asked me questions.
Sure.
I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
Well, who is the main character? What's the name of the main character in All Boys Are Blue?
What a question.
You're asking me right now.
You just gave me very
17,000
specific information about this book, so you're presenting yourself as somebody expert.
It's the gentleman.
Who's the main character in the book?
The main character is the author.
What's his name?
George, I believe, is his first name.
Because you're giving me very specific information that is.
You're asking me to remember the name of an author.
You just remembered very specific things.
Joy.
Here's my question.
We're talking about
Here's my question.
You didn't answer my question.
No. I'm going to answer your question.
Great. I would love to hear that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm interviewing you, and you're not interviewing me. So let's just make sure it's a conversation.
Okay.
So what I'm saying to you is that as you are not an expert in this book,
I don't have to be an expert to know that dildos aren't appropriate for public school. Come on, let's get real.
This book is a full context story, as you said, of the author's experience.
I cannot believe
Why
this
is it your right
sold
or a
on
Moms
TV.
for Liberty activist's right to say that a parent who wants their child to have access to this book, which gives a personal experience of this author,
MSNBC. This is embarrassing.
Why doesn't a liberal
MSNBC.
parent, for instance, or a parent of an LGBTQ kid, why don't they have a right for their child to just have access to this book? Why is it your right to say they can't?
So, again, we're talking about incest, rape, and pedophilia.
And each parent... No.
Oh, my gosh. Joy Reid just interrupting this woman. I mean, clearly, it's so insane, what world we're living in nowadays, where we have to have debates like this. First, now we have to debate what a woman is. Now we have to debate, hey, should we allow books for children to read that involve artificial phalluses? And stories of really close family love between an adult and a child. Yeah. Listen, no one is stopping. If you're a mom or a dad out there, typically the moms, but we don't have to talk about that right now. But if you're a parent and you want your child to really read this book, you could go out and buy that for them. You could go out and buy whatever you want for your child to read. It would be like saying, because we don't allow Playboy magazines in schools, well, who are you to decide what these children are allowed to read? No one's deciding what their children are allowed to read. We just don't want it in schools. It is inappropriate. And I don't think anybody in their sane mind would disagree with that. The only people who would disagree with that are people who are either too far gone into this ideology or people like Joy Reid who are profiting off of shilling this stuff.
Each parent has to decide what is appropriate for their child to read. So I want you to answer. I'm going to ask it one more time.
Right.
What is your right to tell a parent who wants their child, who might feel seen by this story, why don't they have the right? Why don't they have the right as a parent to say, my child can have access to this book?
If a child feels seen by this story, that means that they have been the victim of a predator. That means that they have either been raped by a family member, they've experienced
and your proof
rape.
of that is what?
You just said that
What's
if
your
a child
proof of
feels
that?
seen by this story. What I'm saying, Joy,
you're now making assumptions
no,
about it.
Joy, but if a child has been raped, you should do a lot better than
She
put a
can't
book
be
in the library.
She can't be.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is just terrible. For starters, you know what's funny is that Joy Reid keeps saying, well, what's your proof of that? Like it's some sort of gotcha. Meanwhile, has Joy Reid read the book? Because if Joy Reid has read the book and that stuff is not in there, well, then all she has to say is that stuff's not in there. But if she's arguing, oh, well, what's your point? That's your proof that someone has gone through that. Well, Joy Reid just made that statement saying, well, someone feels seen, meaning if someone's had the same experience. Joy Reid's the one who brought that up.
Creating a
You
story
can
behind
process at this point.
Okay, be honest with me. Do you think she's that stupid?
No,
or
she's
this
not.
is the narrative? Because, by the way, let's not forget by the way, never trust anybody that's hair looks like this to make any decisions about anything about you and your kids. What she's doing right here is one of the reasons people like me always think that the left is always over-sexualizing kids and doesn't care about topics like this. And that's why everybody's always like, dude, what is she talking about? What is she even talking about? And let's not forget who Joy Reid is. She's the one, remember on the panel with Bill Maher when Ann Coulter was like, Donald Trump's the, what's it called? She made that face like, she's an idiot. There's no way she could think like
Tom,
this.
when you hear this, logically, when you hear this, a host of a brand, MSNBC, saying it's okay for a book with dildos and
Pedophilia and rape.
Well, how do you process this as a parent, Tom?
So, Joy Reid is the pathetic mouthpiece of the left that wants to sexualize children and wants to make sure that onboarding and grooming materials are present on the shelves of
Leave a like and subscribe if you're liking this video so far.
libraries and public schools. It's as simple as that. They want the stuff on there. They want the progressive sexualization of kids. That's the purpose here. Now, I happen to think that this woman could have done better for herself. I would have known the author. I would have known his date of birth. I would have known the name of the publisher, and I would have fired back at her pretty hard on those. So I think she could have been a little bit more informed and kind of fought back against it. But Joy Reid's whole angle here is to discredit her. That's all she's trying to do. She was not arguing even for the book. She's just trying to discredit the other side. I'm interviewing you. You're not interviewing me, meaning I'm here to ask a bunch of questions to discredit you. But all I see is a mouthpiece for the left to advocate to putting this stuff on the shelves in public schools to allow kids to have access to it, to act on their curiosities or act on their depression.
Adam.
That's her job here.
Adam.
That's 100% correct. And by the way, what does it matter, like, what information that lady, I forgot her name, but that lady would have known, like, okay, so let's say that lady would have known the author, would have known the date it was published, known every single thing about that book. Do you think it would have mattered? Do you think Joy Reid would have sat back and been like, oh, okay, yes, you're a reliable source, I'm going to listen to you? Absolutely not. Because her job wasn't to get to the truth or to have an honest debate. It was to shill.
Look, it's becoming clearer and clearer who she is. You know, she's going to reap what she sows. I just Googled Joy Reid just to kind of see what's popping up. If you Google Joy Reid, do it right now. The first thing that pops up is Joy Reid strap-on. So congratulations, Joy. This is now the word associated
Don't
with
Google
your name.
strap-on, Robert.
Is that a
No,
wait a minute?
just Joy Reid. That's the first thing that pops up.
Strap-on Joy Reid.
she
The
have
second thing that pops up is Joy Reid hair. And I realized, where have I seen this hair before? And it's one of our favorite movies over here. Rob, if you could pull that up. We saw her go full retard in Tropic Thunder. We recognize that hairdo. And you know they said...
Make me...
Yeah,
I knew
They
it.
said, you know, never go full retard over here. But, you know, I also found out that Joy has 3 kids. And she's married. I thought she might have been a lesbian. I don't know. But she's got 3 kids. So I want to know if she's going to let her kids read this book. I want to know if she's encouraging her kids to enjoy this type of lifestyle.
The youngest child that she has is 24 years old. So if her child was in elementary or middle school, that was 15 years ago, before this was, prevalent for most schools to have these types of books.
Her youngest child is 24. How old is she? Jesus. Anyway, good for her. But she's just an absolute shell of whatever's happening
I'm
here.
actually wanting to talk real substance here. Forget about you calling her idiot or shill or this and that. Tom, we'll come back to Tom. You found something awesome. Hang tight. We'll come to you, Tom. So forget about what she is and all the name calling. The average parent who doesn't follow politics closely is 80% of parents. 80% of parents don't care about politics. They don't follow it. They don't turn on CNN. They don't turn on Fox. They don't turn on MSNBC. They don't turn these things on. Maybe they get the news as it gets a little bit closer to the election cycle, maybe a little bit. But they're watching a Netflix show at night. They're watching a series at night. They're watching something like that at night. You mean to tell me you're okay with kids in school reading an award-winning book for, All Boys Aren't Blue, which is banned, by the way, go to the top, which is banned by how many schools?
29.
29 school districts, and you think it's okay? And she asked the question, in what context is a dildo strap-on acceptable? And she says, let that be the decision of a parent? What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about?
He's absolutely 100% correct. And this is not something that's hard to grasp. I think any sane parent like someone who has kids would get why this is not a good idea. And if you're arguing otherwise, like I said, you're either too far gone into this ideology or you're a shill, one or the other. I personally don't think Joy Reid is personally down for having, if her kids were still of school age, I highly doubt she would be okay if her school carried books like this and her children were reading these type of books. I highly doubt that she would be fine with that. So I think obviously MSNBC, they're obviously a biased network. She's paid to shill this stuff. No, but what do you guys think? Do you guys think she's paid? Do you guys think she actually has a point? Or are you guys on the sane Patrick Bet David side? Like I think a lot of people are. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you guys again soon.